Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode, this time a special episode of the Open Peace podcast. This is actually a new segment that we're about to start. It's going to be the first time we ever do. It's called Open Peace Global. We're going to discuss topics around the world that will probably affect the whole world in one way or another, or basically a specific country, and we're going to give our 2 cents on them. We're going to do this segment at least once a week. Today we are joined by Amir, Kane, and my good friend Layth. And hello, Layth. So it's going to be a really nice episode. They've sent me also some articles that we're going to check together. So guys, I'm going to share my screen over here. Excuse me. And we're going to go for the first one. Let me know. And let's go for the first one. This is from the Jerusalem Post. An Israeli newspaper, by the way. Disaster for Iran as its largest naval ship sinks. It says here, it is not clear if the fire was accidental, but the tension have loomed over the region for the last year amid reports of various attacks on vessels of Iran and Israel. So we have some tension going on between Iran and Israel. It's more of a kind of a local news, but also global. It says here Iran suffered another humiliating disaster after its largest naval ship, which it calls a naval training support vessel, was destroyed in a fire. It also said here it is not clear whether the fire was accidental, but the tensions have loomed over the region for the last year amid reports of various attacks on vessels of Iran and Israel, as well as Iranian harassment of U.S. ships. This is the first time it's happening, guys. Did you ever hear about it before?
It's not the first time. There's been things going on really for the last year in that kind of region and in the Gulf over there. And there's been little attacks here and there on shipping containers, on Israeli shipping containers, on Iranian. So it's all kind of, how should we say, behind the curtains. Things are happening without the public really knowing 100%. What exactly is going on, I would say.
Well, what was the first event? Was it a power plant in Iran or something that exploded?
Well, that was a nuclear facility. Yeah, that was a nuclear facility. Okay. Yeah.
It says here, this ship is one of the most advanced vessels of the Iranian military and is sometimes called a helicopter carrier. Wow. So there's vessels that carry helicopters, said the public relations officer of the first Najaf region. What's Najaf region? Does anyone know about this one?
Najaf is the holy city for the Shia over there. So I think Ali is buried there, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's in Iraq, right?
Yeah, it's in Iraq. It's very holy. It's considered very, very holy to Shia Islam.
All right. Well, we hope the tension doesn't grow between the two sides. We know it has been going on electricity between the two. So
we mentioned that before, that there's been some there's been speculation that Israel's involved in some of these attacks, and who knows, because the Middle East has got so many moving parts and things happening independently of each other, and there's other things that look like they're happening independently, but it's under the Iranian sphere of influence. So it's all very intrinsically linked. And it seems like a lot of the time, anything that happens in one place of the Middle East seems to affect the rest of it.
Okay. Makes
exactly.
sense.
It's pretty connected with every aspect of it. The problems in Yemen and Iran and all of it, it's affecting us all in the Middle East and in the region.
Definitely, Layth, 100%.
That's insane. Look at that explosion.
It's crazy. All right, let's go over the second one. We have, this time it's not exactly politics, it's conflict. This is pronounced Tigray, by the way?
Tigray. Yeah.
Okay, they're saying we have no food. We face death. So think about it, guys. A lot of people take food super for granted, and they forget the idea that millions of people have no food, literally. So what we have here, it's basically in Ethiopia. This is, by the way, from BBC News. People in a district of Ethiopia's Tigray region have told the BBC they are on the verge of starvation. they're saying here, we don't have anything to eat. A man in Kafta, Amir said, saying their crops and livestock had been looted during 7 months of war. So the war is causing people to like not even have or not farm or not get what they're farming for. You see what the problem here? One more thing here. It says, what are conditions like over there? It says dire and frightening, according to people living in Kafta, Humera, an isolated district in west of Tigray that is close to the borders of Sudan and Eritrea.
Eritrea, yeah.
Eritrea.
Children are being killed, man. Children are dying there as part of the war. You know, like children are being bombed, shot, stabbed. It is absolutely insane. It's banana, completely out of this world.
And where do you hear about it? Who hears about it? Where's the social media outcry for what's going on in Ethiopia? Who's
where's the world? Where's the rest of the world for it?
What social media
outcry? Exactly.
It's insane. Yeah, people don't even know. I mean, it's been going on like in November. It will be a year that it's been going on, and I have students that I speak to from Ethiopia, and they're telling me that their families are stuck there, and they don't know day to day if they're gonna get caught up in it. I mean, they're all caught up in it, but.
And in case you're wondering why aren't they fleeing, it says here because they are trapped.
They're trapped.
So. The older farmer here, it says, said people have been trying to travel elsewhere, like the town of Shire and Shiro, about 200 kilometers east of their district, to find food and humanitarian supplies. But it says here also that transport has been difficult to come by, and those that have vehicles have been prevented from leaving the area by the militia. Wow, so people are even prevented to leave the area. That's crazy.
Yeah, they're literally trapped. They're actually unable to go anywhere. And, you know, we're talking about people who have family abroad and they can't see them until this is done, until it's over. And who knows how long it's going to be, because nobody knows about it. And there's no real international pressure to put a stop to this madness.
Exactly. There's no interest from the big countries. There's no interest.
No.
Right.
And if big countries have an interest, then regular people don't know.
Right, and if, in case you're wondering why is there a war, it says here, it's also the same article. It erupted when Ethiopia's government launched an offensive to oust the region's then ruling party, the Tigray People Liberation Front. So this is kind of like another ruling party. So there's like, basically that's the offensive. What is what the word oust? Does anyone know? What's this one?
Yeah, to
oust
get them out.
like when you force someone out. Yeah, when you force someone out.
Okay.
So
thousands of people have been killed, and 1.7 million fled their homes. Wow, that's a lot of people.
It's so many people, and I think most people watching, you know, can't even really fathom what this actually means. And I want people to take a minute to actually think about what we're talking about here. It's a region of the world that if you look back even before that, there were famines in Ethiopia. There was a civil war in Ethiopia. It's round after thing, and we have to actually do something about it and try and lobby organizations that can do stuff on the ground over there to really help the humanitarian situation, because that to me is what's going to be key. Get food on the ground, get medical supplies on the ground to people that need it.
100%.
And, you know, we can push and do our best to try and stop the war. I don't know if you guys are aware, but actually Egypt and Ethiopia as well could be in a conflict very soon, because there's actually a big you know, debate about what to do with this new dam that the Ethiopians are being built, which will basically control the waters of the Nile, which of course are highly important to Egypt.
Of course, the Nile is the base of the Egypt, so
it is.
Yeah,
it's the number one source for clean water.
Yeah,
exactly.
They literally came from the Nile. I mean, that's where the civilization was born, and we're talking about thousands of years of history and pride in this river, and they're not gonna let that go easily. You know, it's going to be
We have the Torah mentioning it also.
fantastic.
All right. Next, we have this is basically from the Times of Israel. Bennett, the prime minister, the new prime minister, is set to rake in $5 million from stock listing of a fintech firm. For those who don't know, basically fintech is financial, basically technology, right, guys? Or like,
Yeah.
so
Sure.
it says here, prime minister designate. So he's not yet the prime minister. Is that what we say? Not to go out of
Not
topic
yet.
a lot, but what does that mean? The prime minister designate? It means like
He's been selected, but he isn't yet. You know,
that's what I wanted to say. So
all the
All right.
pieces. I just realized how much this guy actually looks like Gru from Despicable Me.
really, this guy.
Look at him. Yeah, he does. It's insane.
Perhaps.
But he's
So
gonna be
he's
a rich
expected to make a cool $5 million of investment from its American fintechs firm. Pioneer Forbes in Israel reports also says here. It's like I thought it was the end of the article. No way, no problem. Oh, I know this woman. I actually, she was one of the judges in when they showed my documentary in Jerusalem. Interesting to see her again.
That's pretty cool.
All right, let's see
cool.
what's next. This is another one from the Jerusalem Post. It says here, man suspected of killing Canadian Muslim family was motivated by hate. We've been talking about this in the podcast, guys, right? Well, but what's happening when hate builds up? It says here there is evidence that this was a planned, premeditated act motivated by hate.
It's all right, Layth. It was a what? It was a premeditated attack.
It's a planned, premeditated act motivated by hate. So apparently,
that's the hate against Muslim in Canada is escalating lately.
what do you
I
think
think
is the cause of that? It's like
What's the cause?
just
Social
racism.
media,
Just plain
social
racism?
media, racism, Islamophobia, a lot of reasons.
Yeah, it's things like that. You know,
Yeah,
it's
it's horrible.
It's people who don't have much scale to the way that they think. They don't have the ability to see things in a broad perspective. So they see an Islamist, Muslim extremist blow up, you know, whatever, and then immediately they jump from there to, well, I've seen this happen before, and now it's happening again. This must mean that, you know, Muslims do this kind of thing, because people don't. There's a lot of stupid people out there that don't have.
Exactly, that's what Islamophobia is. They just some crazy guy will go and do himself up, and they go tell him this is a terrorist. Why not a mental health problem? It's a mental health. Exactly.
It is definitely a mental health thing, Layth. I 100% agree with you. And I think, unfortunately, we have this terrible kind of anti-Semitism, Islamophobia that is circling in the world. And like you said, it's being accelerated by the social media. It's like on steroids. It's Islamophobia on steroids. It's anti-Semitism on steroids. And
I don't know if it's Islamophobia or I would say Muslim phobia, because I don't know if they're scared of the religion. They're more scared of people that look like Layth or Amir or, you know, or any of you except me, basically.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
So basically, that's what they're scared of. It's Muslims, because if people can, you know, convert.
There's something new called linguistic racism. Did you ever hear about it, Kane? Linguistic racism?
What exactly is the definition of it?
I mean, the exact definition, and I'm not sure how would you exactly define it, but in short, it is basically being very, how do you say, you're like being kind of a racist towards a person's accent, how he
that's what I thought it would be.
Right? If he's like speaks English, but because his origin is Asian, you'd have like a preconscious you know,
but again, it's not. Again, though, the hatred is not directed at the way that they speak. It's directed at them, at what this person thinks they are because of the way they speak. It's not necessarily like I don't like the sound of Arabic, so I'm going to be racist. It's, you know, I hear Arabic, that makes me think Muslims, that makes me think terrorists, because I don't have the ability to distinguish between Muslims and crazy Muslims. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Oh, Amir just lost his connection. He's back. All right. So let's check what's next, guys, in the links we have here. So we got a article from The Guardian, one of the oldest newspapers, I think. It says, "Cease not. Turkish minister announces plan to tackle slimy scourge." Anyone heard about this news? What's up, guys?
I have. It's an ecological disaster. That's what it is. I mean, you can see in the picture there, there's boats that literally can't get out of the harbor because of that sea snot.
Oh, wow. So just if you're watching this, I don't think you should be confused. This is not sand, guys.
Yeah.
This is not the beach, by the way.
No.
For a second, I thought it was the beach. I think we have a video.
No. It's basically sea mucus, isn't it? It's people from the sea. It's disgusting. But why? What is it? Is it the treatment of the water around the area? Is it the traffic in the area from steamships, or what? What's causing it? Do you know?
I think it's a mix of things. It's a mix of pollution, right? And
grayish substance, some of which has also sunk below the waves. It's just saying I don't think it describes what it is exactly, but it's obviously a pollution
as well. It's killing the sea life.
It's disgusting. And these are the kind of things, right? You need to hold your local representatives responsible for. None of us here are Turkish, but this affects our beautiful planet, right, guys? And if it's happening there, it could happen anywhere. What's happening over
100%.
there? So, you know, I really hope for the Turkish people that they can lobby their government to sort out this mess and clean up what looks to me like an absolute disgusting ecological disaster.
It is,
and it's killing shellfish in the sea. So that's like the ecosystem is obviously
they can't breathe. It's sinking below the waves, so anything underneath there can't breathe. It's been suffocated. But I just wanted to actually ask, guys, because we didn't decide to factor this in to this episode, but there's also something I read earlier, which we should probably mention. Do you all know that someone slapped Macron in the face when he was walking?
Yeah, I saw it.
I saw it as well,
I didn't see that.
What do we think of that?
It's just not it's just not good behavior on any sides, you know. If you slap someone, I mean, it's not a good look, is it?
It might just show, like, I don't know what's the point you're trying to prove, but you might prove the opposite in some case.
Well, you don't make yourself look like someone that people should take advice.
That's what I'm saying, guy.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a bit ridiculous. So, guys,
it's almost like
grievances. You know, get active, but don't be slapping people. It's not
the right way to send your voice or your opinion. No, it's not the right way.
Exactly.
Crazy.
Exactly.
This is the world we live in, fellas.
Absolutely. So yeah, hopefully people just should really pay attention that the world needs to be cleaner. And by the way, I don't know if you guys heard, you know, people are using more green energy than ever before, and it's still going up. So
but by the way, guys, I just want to mention, Abood, just before we hop on to the next one, you know, saying that, I remember when George Bush was thrown the shoe at by the Iraqi guy. Yeah, the shoes.
Yeah.
Now that was kind of funny, no? Like if you're comparing it to the slap, that was kind of
because he dodged.
You know, because he dodged it like that, and then the other one came as well.
I think the guy was sentenced to prison or something, right? For like.
I think the CIA just chucked him on the ground and dragged him out of the room. Probably slapped him about a bit. But
really? Okay.
Probably. I mean,
time ago.
The CIA. How can you prove otherwise? Yeah.
Well, guys, we've been hearing a lot of, we've been reading some bad articles, but here's a really nice, pretty good news. U.S. approves first new Alzheimer's drug in 20 years. Now, I'm not sure if you know, but Alzheimer's is like one of the few diseases, or like one of the most important diseases that we really don't know how to cure until now, and this might be promising. Just reading a little bit here, it says the first new treatment for Alzheimer's disease for nearly 20 years has been approved by regulators in the United States. And it's also said here at least 100,000 people in the UK with a mild form of disease could be suitable for the drug if it were approved by the UK regulator. So it's in the US, it's been approved. So we don't know if it's going to work exactly. But, global diseases, like, for example, like what happened with the corona is obviously going to change the whole, how health institutions and how health regulations are going to go, and also going outside the country, inside the country, and all these kinds of things are going to change. So hearing news like that is also really important because this is also sure, Layth?
Yes, so and the corona showed the world that how small it is. It's actually we are all connected in a way or another. So
100%.
So it showed that that idea that people should work together and start knowing that a disease in China can affect me in here. No one is safe.
Yeah, that's a good point. Exactly. That's a good point. People used to think like, oh, it's on the TV, now it's going to reach me when boom,
exactly.
It's all over. This news has been also followed by another medical news. This time it's I'm sure you're aware of Sheba Hospital, guys, in Israel here. So we have Sheba Hospital in space exploring the final frontier of medical science. So basically, these are like some experiments being done in space, medical experiments being done in space. Pretty interesting if anyone wants to read more. It's in the Jerusalem Post. It says here, at least we have a device that is less than 2.5 kilometers that Eitan will use to take high-resolution scans of his retina over the course of the trip. So if you're wondering what does it matter, space or not space, well, apparently it does in the scientific world. In space, you can do some specific experiments under specific conditions that will make progress and research much more efficient and evolve much faster. So,
well, I think the point of this is that we are trying to prepare for the eventuality that we start building colonies elsewhere in the
yeah, good point.
Know how to look after people when we're up there. So why not start now? I think that's something worth mentioning, that we're getting closer to that.
Yeah,
100%, Kane. I think space is kind of like the new frontier, if you like, the new wild west. How the west of America was back then. Because I don't know if our viewers are aware, but space actually has endless potential, and in terms of companies and investments, a lot of gold and minerals are actually on or in asteroids. So companies are looking at how you can mine the gold and mine the minerals that you're going to
even
need
water. Some people are looking for water.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how can you mine water, but there's definitely sayings on that. There's definitely the science of it. Some people even say like that's where kind of water came also, like big quantities of water. So it's definitely imagine us fighting over resources here for hundreds of years, and then eventually, oh, look up here, all the resources we want, everyone's going to be happy.
Yeah.
Well,
for sure.
In theory, we can never predict what humans are doing with something. But when we get up there, I mean, I was watching a video of what the world's going to be like in 50 years, and it's going to be like what we think of in the movies,
Right.
There's going to be, like you've said a million times, Amir, like people having personal drones that they can hop in, like tiny little helicopter things and zip off. You have drones deliver your food to you. There's definitely going to be the beginnings of new colonies in space.
Well, for For sure. Look at Bezos. Bezos and his buddy, his brother, have just paid. I'm not sure how much, but it's millions or billions to go to space. You know?
Oh,
Yeah. They're trying. Here's the difference between Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos. Elon Musk wants to go to Mars and build a colony. Jeff Bezos says, hell to Mars. We want to build a kind of like a big, huge station, like a space station, and gonna make a city in space and make the conditions better for us there. So I think both are interesting. If this doesn't work, that doesn't,
there'll be a bit of both going on in the future. But honestly, I think for my money, Musk is onto something better because, well, it depends really how things pan out. If we get up there and there are Martians telling us turn back now and get out of here, then we're gonna have to go Bezos' way. But
speaking of Martians, guys, what do you think is the currency going to be? Because some people say it's Dogecoin, maybe.
Oh, Dogecoin.
Speaking of Dogecoin and other cryptocurrencies, everything is going down in these few days. Like if you look here, Bitcoin suffers steepest drop in 10 days as U.S. monetary policy causes short-term jitters. And I don't know if you guys heard or saw, basically Trump was asked, what do you think about Bitcoin? He says, it's probably a scam. And he also says that he wants the dollar to be the world currency. And also one of the few reasons why Bitcoin is going down is because of China's regulations. What did you say? Did you say, of course,
we both said, of course he does at the same time.
Yeah.
And don't forget about Elon Musk last time when he went from Bitcoin to Dogecoin. That tripled the market a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
it did. You're right. It affected Bitcoin.
Yeah, like crypto currency is about really to change the world, and a lot of people have doubt in it. It might not change the world as we know, but it's already affecting a lot of how our financial systems are working. It's kind of like making the government have less of a say in the money for some degree. That's why there's some regulations being done on Bitcoin. If you look here, China continues to pressure crypto with rolling mining bans, wiping out its most popular social media platform. This is like Weibio's, it's like Facebook for them, for China. So and also, I don't know if you heard, mining Bitcoin, meaning like gathering Bitcoin, is also affecting the environment a lot. So a lot of people are going through other cryptocurrencies, something called XRP, if you ever heard about it, Pi, or something called Cardano. Pi is also something for mobile. So interesting world. We're going to be following the crypto world in OBP Global for sure. It's something that's it's gonna change the world, and it looks promising, hopefully. So
it is. It's very promising
for now.
Yes, for now. All right, next one is from CNN. MasterCard Foundation in Africa CDC announces a 1.3 billion vaccine initiative. So this is basically more vaccines on the way. That's awesome. We see here in MasterCard. Okay, so it says here the Saving Lives in Life schemes aims to secure shots for more than 50 million people and help develop vaccine manufacturing in African countries. Speaking of vaccines, how is vaccination going in like the Palestinian cities? Layth? It's pretty good, right?
It's lately growing. I mean, it's not as much as Israel, because but lately I've read it in Ma'an website. If you know it, it's the Palestinian website for news. Let me show it to you. That says someone. Oh, just a minute.
Because I've seen it's like people waiting for their line for like 4 months or 5 months.
That Qatar just donated 500,000 shots to the PA.
Okay.
And we are approximately 30% vaccinated, 30% of the population.
30%. That's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's getting there.
Yeah, exactly. It's going down. Everything is reopening. It's going back.
That's awesome. Yeah. It says here also less than 2% of Africans have received at least one COVID-19. So Africa has a long way to go. And also it says here that they shouldn't rely on sharing vaccines now is essential for ending the acute phase of the pandemic, but it's also here it's clear that in emergency, low-income countries cannot rely solely on import of vaccines from wealthier nations. So,
well, that's not fair, is it, Abood? This is something that has bothered me the whole COVID crisis, right? We have all these politicians and all these leaders and all these celebrities coming out and saying this and saying that. What I can't understand is if there's a global pandemic and if it's affecting everyone, why can't these drug companies and countries team up with each other to have an unpatented vaccine that goes out to all the manufacturers of vaccines across the world, and you manufacture as much as you can and you get the vaccine out to as many people as you can? I can't understand why it's all about profit. No, this company, no, that company, no, this vaccine, no, that vaccine, and the power is in the hands of all these rich countries. I can't understand.
Right.
You're asking basic questions of the human race that everyone wonders all the time. You know, we all live on the same planet, and let's say that there are countries who are not being given the vaccine, or not enough people are getting them. If those people come into contact with somebody that's just there for a holiday, then they come back to their own country, they start spreading it from there. If we don't cleanse the entire globe of corona, then we can forget about it disappearing completely, because there's always going to be little anchors that are holding it to
exactly, just like in India, the black plague, the black fungus.
The black fungus too.
Yeah. Black fungus. Yeah, exactly. It's very dangerous and it's very scary. It's worse than the COVID.
I heard something like of another virus that might cause a pandemic that might make corona look like a joke. I don't know. People are doing a lot of spreading a lot of rumors these days, but hope not. Hope that's not real.
I'll tell you, the biggest joke of corona really has been the response to it, because it was nowhere near as bad as we thought it was going to be.
Okay, yeah, that's right. People thought maybe 20 million are going to get it, 30 million.
Yeah.
Got to 110 or something million.
Yeah, but it wasn't like the actual effect of it on humans was not as bad as people thought it was.
And that's true. Also. That's true.
And it wasn't. The infection rate was ridiculous. It was, but that's because, and this is maybe somewhere we can segue onto now, because of this Wuhan lab leak thing. If it's true, which is saying that the more and more evidence suggests it is, then it was engineered to be extra effective, and hence we have a virus that swept through the world, infecting everyone that comes close to it, because it was designed to.
But wait, Kane, you want to be careful there. You want to be careful if there is. It has been designed.
Because I'm not saying that it was, but it's irrefutable that there's plenty of evidence that it came from that area, and they were actually investigating gain-of-function research. So
look, I agree with you fully. That all the signs are there for this theory to be plausible. But I just think that at this time, at this stage, it's probably best to investigation, some really, really thorough work, and to actually find out what went on. If it was
investigation, you cut out.
I'm just saying that we need to do an investigation into what has actually caused this and where this is. Now, if you have 95 or 90% of world experts who understand virology and understand the goings on, if they're saying to you that there's a high probability that it came from the Wuhan lab, then maybe it is from there. But at the moment, we don't have that. We have a lot of people saying this, saying that, saying all sorts. And I think we need to be very careful with that kind of stuff, We've got to be careful.
They're coming from health experts that are saying this. Fauci said that it didn't and wrote it off because it's been found that he actually was invested in stuff that was going on at the lab. So he had some sort of interest. Maybe it didn't come from the lab, but
I really hope it didn't, because that means that, you know, what's going to stop other people from doing it again, or something worse even. So
yeah, I mean, but I don't think for a second, even if it did come from the Wuhan lab, that they actually were intending to attack the planet. I think they were just messing around, trying to see how theoretically they could design better viruses, like biological warfare. But I think there was an accident, or I mean, this is the theory. It's not even that I think it's true, but the theory is that it wasn't done on purpose anyway. It was an accident if it came from there.
But even if it's an accident, more strict rules should apply. A lot of lives died.
Well, I just heard recently that when Obama was in office, he heard about what was going on there, and he was kind of like, what are you doing? Why are you messing around with viruses and trying to make them more deadly? Just leave them alone. And
exactly.
That was apparently...
Speaking of leaving people alone, we have news from Iran that can't leave a rapper alone, an 18-year-old rapper who basically was jailed for singing in Iran. He says, "I can't breathe." This reminds you of George Floyd here. And it says here, this poor female rapper from Iran still remains in detention. Did anyone hear about it? We have also a video of this person being held, really, just like kind of like George Floyd, I believe.
Kind of. I mean, she didn't die, but
she didn't die. Yeah, she didn't die. It says here he was brutally arrested in the city of Portsmouth. So it's crazy because, you know, I believe that women are not also allowed to remove their hijab in Iran, right, or something like that. Is it still
in public? In public.
Yeah.
I think that's okay. No, that's not her, but this is like the "I can't breathe," but this is her. Like, you know, so it's taking another part. It's really sad that we're still seeing this. Like so people can't practice their talent these days.
Yeah,
depending on where they live.
It's a religious thing, isn't it? It's hard, this particular topic, because to a certain extent you've got to say, how much can you criticize and condemn someone's religious beliefs? But then I guess it's like us saying that here in Israel there needs to be separation of religion and state, because there's so many people that don't believe in the religion and they can't travel anywhere without a car on Saturdays.
Right.
So
that's the problem.
It needs to be a choice, you know, not forced on people.
Right.
For sure, Kane. But what are you going to do when you have a radical leadership that pushes this religious doctrine onto the people? So then what happens is one people group benefit, and then the rest of the religions and the rest of the ethnicities and homosexuals and LGBTQ, they all suffer because of this tyrannical regime. How can the people balance that out against such a force?
Well, it always comes from within. In the end, as discouraging as it is to say, usually these things end in violence anyway, and revolution that comes from within, because the people have to do something. We don't have any power to control what's happening in Iran other than exert some kind of pressure through social media and spreading the word. But there are lots of people in the West that don't agree with us and would say, well, who are you to criticize Iran? They do things their way, and the West is full of problems, and too busy criticizing their own part of the world to actually realize that they're talking nonsense, that there are people being crushed and oppressed.
But that's the thing. These people saying those things, Kane, I don't think they actually realize the severity of things that are going on in Iran. They don't realize that Christians are being massacred and have to flee. They don't realize that homosexuals are having their heads chopped off. They don't quite comprehend it. They maybe have an image of what they've seen in movies and documentaries, but they can't fathom things actually being like that. I happened to have watched a documentary last night about Islamic State and what went on in Syria, and it was some really undercover staff that managed to get in there 5-6 years ago. And you know, I saw one of the things that it took away my hope in humanity, to be honest with you lads. They showed Kurdish women that were fighting ISIS playing football and having a good time and you know, trying to relax from the battlefield of protecting the homeland. And then they showed a video of ISIS. For a second I thought they were kicking a football around, and then I realized they had 3 heads of people chopped off, kicking them around like it was a football. And when I saw that,
Crazy.
it made me just think, what are we capable of as human beings? What are we capable of? This is where we're leading to.
Disgusting.
And then it's this, Layth, it broke my heart to see. I couldn't, my
Exactly.
eyes had to check themselves. It had to check myself. Am I seeing what I'm seeing here?
Yeah.
And for any one of these people that are listening to this show that does live abroad, that is in Europe maybe, or in North America, or somewhere away from this region, we would love your help and support. We would love, we love you, we love you guys, and we want your help and support. But if you want to help and support people in this region, all I ask for you is love everybody in this region. Doesn't matter whether they're Jewish, Arab, Kurdish, Sunnah, Shia, Christian, Assyrian, Samaritan. Love everybody here, and then we can start pushing forward and doing things. When you're playing us off side by side and taking sides, it's not
Exactly.
getting us anywhere. It's not getting us
We'll never
anywhere.
stop. We'll never stop.
All right, Amir. Love is the answer, as corny as it might sound to some people.
It's
So-
true. It is
It
true.
is. This is also stuff that humanity's been doing for thousands of years. You know, ancient Aztecs used to kick heads around too. But at the same time, you could say, shouldn't we really have moved on from that? Shouldn't
Well,
we
that's
be in
my point,
now
Kane.
when
That's the point.
evolving? Yeah,
That,
that's
that only the advancement in military is scary. Scary. Before
Yeah.
at that times it's all were swords. Now we have nuclear weapons. We have hydrogen bombs.
100%.
Playing with wars is a dangerous game now. It's way dangerous. Imagine the corona as a biological war. Imagine a virus just like the corona, engineered to kill everyone just like the corona, or way more. Imagine that. It didn't used to happen in the past days. Now the wars are very dangerous. Now the wars are attacking all the human race. If you understand what I mean.
and
Yep.
obviously, way back when, thousands of years ago, we didn't have weapons that could literally destroy the entire.
The human race. Exactly.
Not just
Exactly.
the race, the planet. We're on a
The
giant
whole
ball floating through space that we have the capability now to blow into smithereens. It's absolutely massive.
It's
And
madness.
we haven't, as a species, said, no, let's stop here. Let's rewind a little bit and say, let's not go down that path. Because if a nuke is dropped anywhere on Earth, it's going to be a chain reaction, obviously.
You're 100% right,
Exactly.
Kane. And this is the problem, right? I can remember, I don't remember exactly, but it must have been around 10, 12 years ago when Michael Jackson died. On the same day that Michael Jackson died, you had a deal, you had a signing of a contract between Obama and Putin, which decreased the nuclear arsenal both countries had. So as that deal was getting signed, I was looking at that news and thinking, wow, this is so important. The world needs to know that, you know, America and Russia are here making strides to bring nukes down. But at the same time, all that was on all over the news was Michael Jackson's dead and the hysteria and oh my God and la la la. Nobody even talked about this thing. It was sideline news. It was
Right.
nothing. And this is the issue. We have to take the distraction away from these celebrities and bring them into people's actually, this is how we can affect change. This is how we can, change is always brought on by by people that want to do good and that people that are willing to take radical steps. I don't know if you know, Abood, but the vote in England for women was, 150 years ago, non-heard of. Women couldn't vote. It was men only.
Right.
And you had a group of women, suffragettes, who went out and who caused a protest and who ran in front of the Queen's forces to make a statement and show the world this is not right. We're not standing for this. And that's what I want people to take from the show. Stand up for what's right. If you see a wrong, try and fix it. Try and see what you can do to better the situation.
Don't just impulsively launch into the first thing you think might equal things out, because often this is how you get people who mean well and they want to set things right and they end up going and like a good example. You remember all the debacle with Liam Neeson saying that years and years ago, when he was a young man, one of his female friends was raped by a black man, and as a result, just because he wanted to set it right and restore some balance, he wanted to go out and kill a black guy. And obviously he was telling this story from the perspective of his older self, who understands why that's obviously do. Yeah. But people can do things like that, so it's important you don't just go and do something rash that you think seems good at the time. Think about it really. Think about the consequences of what other people are doing, what you can do to stop that, and the consequences in turn of what you're going to do.
Right.
That way, we all
people are short-sighted a lot. People are short-sighted
and lacking in perspective and not conscientious.
Oh, for sure. All right, guys, we're down to the last article of the day. This time it's about magic mushrooms. This is kind of like an older article, but I might as well share it with our viewers here. Magic mushrooms show promise in treatment for depression. So we've been hearing a lot of controversy over like whether medical marijuana should be legalized or magic mushrooms or psychedelics, and I don't see any problem if we have something that proved that it can be first of all, it can be a good treatment for any kind of disease or any kind of ailment. And it's also cost effective and it's also natural. I don't see any problem. You know what I mean? Why not to make it legal? It says here, of course, magic mushrooms, we know it has a long rich history. Now scientists say they could play an important role in the future with their active ingredient, promised treatment of depression. So who knows? Maybe we will have it, here also to have some kind of effect, So people are talking about it.
It's a matter of time, simply. There's nothing more to it than that. It's a matter of time. Eventually,
kind of like what happened with the cannabis, maybe. So
yeah,
I think
at
some point it was not medical. So
right, but it was always medically useful.
Yeah,
it was. It was not medically allowed. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So.
There's a lot of research being done, Abood, over here. There is Adar mentioned on our podcast about MAPS and about research that's going on into psilocybin therapy, which is the active ingredient in mushrooms. But I think you hit the nail on the head, Abood, with it being cost effective, right? So you might have a big pushback from drug companies that don't actually want you to have legal magic mushrooms that are solving depression issues, because they want to sell you a ton of drugs over here that will pick you up from your depression.
I don't know if it's cost effective, but if it is, why not?
Well, it's definitely more cost effective than creating drugs, like creating pills, going through that whole process of synthesization. It's definitely, anything that's natural and agricultural will be cheaper than that for sure.
So the question is, how do we keep the logistics going once we start making the shift over to using that in the mainstream? Because if it's natural, it requires it to be grown. We can't synthesize it and just produce more and more and more. I mean, we can keep trying to grow it, but the supply and demand might be a completely different story to what it is when
Of
you can just
course,
get in a
maybe
lab.
some regulations and these kind of things. So
Mhm.
Well, regulation
definitely a
has to be
challenge.
part of it, of course. Yeah.
Well, the
But-
issue is, right, I do believe mushrooms were legal in Holland for a while, and they were available in coffee houses and stuff. And what actually happened, there was a celebration one day, and somebody high on the mushrooms that they bought from the shop done something terrible and disgusting, and I think they slaughtered an animal or something like that in the middle of the street while they were a bit, and that incident caused the government to retract the legality of the mushroom. So one person can ruin it for everybody else, unfortunately. But then again, it's also an issue of our psyche, right? Because alcohol is legal. Alcohol is legal.
Exactly.
You can take one weekend in London and look at incidents that have happened because of alcohol and say, well, we ban
Why
alcohol
it's
then
legal?
because why?
Exactly.
Like look at it, look at this.
But
Yeah,
if you're gonna ban alcohol, you're gonna take down thousands of companies, So it's so the
exactly.
company is gonna say, "Oh,
It's the same thing.
Taxes. Taxes.
Because it's the same thing with this though. We're taking down all the pharmaceutical companies that produce pain
True.
pills. Florida doesn't like marijuana because they're trying to protect the pain pill industry, right? If people smoke weed to deal with their pain, nobody's going to be buying paracetamol and morphine. Well, morphine, but nobody's going to be buying the stronger stuff that is not really so good for you. I mean,
guys, I hope you
opioids,
see the pattern here. The people, all over the world are not, they don't want to stay asleep. That's the thing. If you're gonna be giving, any company is gonna be giving any kind of drug or anything like that, and you state that this does this and this does that, but you're not gonna allow me to at least try this. You can see a problem here. You can see that there's someone who's trying to profit or someone who's trying to,
yeah,
Of course. Enforce something. Exactly.
We are still, I
all,
think, at the beginning of it, but
it always comes back to what's going to make the institutions the most money, the big dogs. And if allowing something that's genuinely going to have a really positive, because it's pretty clear that if it wasn't going to have an exponentially positive outcome for people who are taking it, then you know what I mean, then they wouldn't care. It's because they know it's going to make a huge difference that they don't want to allow it right now. But even they know that in the end, it's going to have to be legalized because there's more and more research being done.
Personally, Kane,
it's been proven.
Personally, I would say that it's a matter of human rights and choice and freedom. Because at the end of the day, if you educate people well enough about all these substances that are out there, and you put an age on it like 21, you can't. An adult after the age of 21 can easily decide for themselves whether they want to do this, or this. So, I really do think it will take ballsy leaders in countries that are, more free thinking and more kind of into this kind of, holistic way of thinking to actually take the step and do what maybe Holland did back then, but then retracted. I do believe, I may be mistaken, but I do believe Colorado recently voted on the right to do psychedelics, and I think it passed over there. So
you're right.
Passed, like they accepted it?
Yeah.
You're right, Well, we've spoken before, Amir, about the Portuguese model and what they did in Portugal and the effect that it's had.
Oh, I heard about that.
Yes. I think personally, for countries that have drug issues, the Portuguese model, perfect, because it decreases drug use, the rate, so it has the exact opposite effect of what you think it would have. And it also allows people that really need treatment for their drug abuse to get that treatment and to seek the help.
Explain what it is. What is their policy on it, just to be clear?
Sure. So, if for the people that aren't aware, in Portugal they have decriminalized all substances, and you're allowed to have up to a certain amount of each substance on you at any time. But they actually have a policy of education, of help. If you want to get off drugs, hard drugs, they will offer you help. So alongside, for instance, people that were addicted to heroin in Lisbon in the 90s, they would give them replacements for the heroin, and they would try and get them off heroin, which is obviously, a very highly addictive drug. And they had a huge issue over there. Lisbon being a port city and stuff, it spread very, very quick there, and they had a huge problem, which is why they decided to take the decriminalization route. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that also, am I right that also means if you are a heroin addict, you can also go to a hospital and have them shoot you up safely?
I heard about that, yeah. And
Yes.
it's not bad thing, not bad stuff or something like that. It's like,
well, the needles and stuff like that. Like, so that if you're gonna do it, at least you do
here's the thing, there's something in air. There's a saying in Arabic called, I'm sure you know about this, Layth, "Kul shi mamnu' marghub," which means
exactly
anything that is restricted is desired. I mean, that's
totally true.
So maybe that's why it's working over there. But yeah, all right, guys, I think we're kind of at the end of our segment here. Yeah, so like maybe mushrooms are good for you, and if they're good for you, it's like definitely why not legalize it. But you know what else is good for you guys?
tahini.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like tahini, don't forget to check out tahini har bracha. It's a pretty good tahini, proven to be very healthy also for your body. A lot of vitamins, a lot of minerals. Get it right now, har grazim. And other than that, we have reached 200 subscribers, guys. Congratulations.
We have.
Don't forget, if you're still watching, kudos to you. Don't forget to leave a like, leave a sub if you haven't already, and share it with your friends. And stick with us on this really long and beautiful road we have started. Anyone has anything else to say?
Exactly what you said. Covered it all. Abood.
All right.
It was nice to be there.
Awesome.
Good
Nice
night.
to have you on for the first time too.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. Take it easy, guys. Bye bye.
Good night.
All right. Peace out.